Hey everyone, welcome back. So that turned ugly quick today with Bitcoin going down almost, what was it, 2,000 some odd bucks and change. Markets also went down today. Miners were all pretty much down for the most part. I think everybody was down at the end of the day. So it was a nasty Monday for us to start out with. But here's what we got to talk about. We're going to talk about obviously what happened with Bitcoin today, look at the charts on it, Ethereum as well. We'll look at quickly the markets, how they performed. Then we'll talk about, of course, Scientific provided production updates for May along with Riot. Riot wasn't that good. And then Terawulf. We'll talk about also Terawulf as well. So we got those three to get through here, so we'll try to get through this relatively quickly. And as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you guys enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. As you know, it helps me out. Okay, so let's get into the markets here really quick, see what's going on there. We can see that the S&P was down 0.2% on the day. Dow Jones was down 0.59%. NASDAQ was down 0.55%. Bitcoin, on the other hand, was down even much lower than that. It was down 5.09% on the day. It was down $1,381. It closed at $25,740. We came pretty close to our 200 daily moving average, which is our blue line right here. You can see that maybe. Let's see if I can zoom this in for you guys. So that's there. We were only about $200 or so off from that. Our daily line is at 25,300, 25,400 right now, roughly somewhere around there. Or actually what is that? I can't really see here. It's like 25,200, something like that. So we were pretty close to it. We did, however, bounce off the 200 daily moving average here. If we go to the 15-minute chart, you can see that this happened here right around 10:30 this morning. It bounced off of it, but then it just fell right below it, and it continued falling down after that. Okay, so right now, what does this mean for us? Well, it means a couple of things. Our support line possibly will be here, the 200 daily moving average, which is our blue line here. If this doesn't hold, then our possible next support is going to be at 23,800. This has acted as support and resistance in the past. I'm not guessing it's going to act the same way again. And then if that doesn't hold, well, then we're possibly going down to 21,300, which is our next support line here. Okay, so that's kind of things to look at. I'm thinking that the 200 daily moving average may not hold based on where I'm seeing here on the RSI on the daily, that we might actually go down to the 23,800, and we'll see where the RSI is at that point. If it's down to, right around 30 or something, 29, where we were back here also, you can see, and then after that we bounced back up off of it, that would be great to see. So at that point, if we do get down to 23,800, that would be an improvement on the RSI in price from where we bottomed out. We bottomed out right over here at 19,600. So that would be almost what, 3,000, right? 3,000 something and change being up on it. That would be a good sign. That way the RSI would be at 30. Price would be down here. Well, price would be actually higher than what was back there. So that's a good sign. Okay, looking at the 4-hour chart, we can see here that the let's go back to the daily chart. I want to show you something else. The RSI right now is at 36. Last time we were pretty much close over here. Price was higher at that point. If you go down another notch of it over here, price was higher at that point even. So each time the RSI comes down to right around the 38 range, we're lower in price each time. That's why I think we're still going to be going down even more this month in June. It may take us until July to get there. We'll see how long it takes us to come down and actually get the RSI on the daily down to 30. The 4-hour chart, on the other hand, right now, we are showing that we are oversold quite a bit here at 23. Last time we were this low was quite a while here. Was actually back at this point here, and this was back in April of this year, 2023. And at that point, we were actually higher in price. Okay, so that's definitely not a good sign on it. But I think we might be coming back down a little bit more, as like I said. And then on the 1-hour chart, if we look at our RSI is also way oversold right now. It is at 23 right now. Last time we were back here, price was higher at that point. So we are trending in the downwards direction with that one. Okay, looking at Ethereum here really quick as well. Let's do that one quickly. And go to the daily chart here on it. We can see that it is actually now below the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average. And it's going to be battling with the 200 daily moving average here probably shortly before the RSI goes down to about 30. I expect that one to come down here as well, and then we'll see where it actually goes off. It may go back down to the 200 weekly moving average, which is the red line here, which we've seen before where it bounced off of it. That might be the bottom where we actually reach as well. So a couple points to look at, obviously, is the 1730 mark roughly, and then the 1545 mark is possibly where the bottom is for Ethereum on this one. But Ethereum was down today as well, 4.18% to close at 1,811. So not a good day for the miners or for Bitcoin and Ethereum, along with the stock market. Let's take a look at how badly the miners did today. It wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. Seeing the prices of everything coming down, Bitcoin and Ethereum, I thought some of the miners were going to be down at least 15, 20% down, but it wasn't that bad. So Annie today was down 4.91%, Argo was down 3.15%, Bit Digital was down 9.45%, Bitfarms was down 7.44%, Cypher was down 8.91%, CleanSpark was down 5.54%, Cores was down 4.84%, DigiHost was down 1.71%, DMG was down 7.91%, Greenedge, let's go to Greenedge, there it is. Greenedge was down 7.8%, Hive was down 4.62%, Hut 8 was down 4.63%, Iris was down 9.71%, Marathon down 8.37%, Mawson was down 2.03%, Riot was down 8.8%, and the only one that was up was Soluna, up 0.81%. Stronghold was down 7.29%, and Terawulf was down 4.03%, so a bad day for the miners. Okay, let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick, see what's going on there. With price coming back down, I would expect the network hash rate to come down a little bit here, but it's still at 372 million on a 7-day average. And then looking at the 1-day average, we are currently at right in the middle here at 376 as well. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that one, see where it goes. All right, so that's all of that, and we'll see how this week goes. Things may come down a little bit more. I may actually start to nibble a little bit on some of the stocks that I do like, so we'll see when that happens. Okay, next, the stories that we do have here. So May production updates, we'll take a look at all of these. I'll try to go through it relatively quickly here, and then we'll obviously point, I'll create the clips for these as well. Those will be coming out later on this week for those of you guys that just like watching the clips. So those will be coming out later on. And let's see what we got here for Terawulf. So Terawulf, May 2023 highlights, self-mined 323 Bitcoin in May with an average production rate of 10.4 Bitcoin per day. Power cost average at 6.2, and actually, we can go with Terawulf first. Power cost average 6.2 Bitcoins per Bitcoin produced, or approximately 2.8 cents per kilowatt hour in May. So that's really good there. And down here, commence operations in Building 2 at Lake Mariner facility, where the company continues to ramp up to the full 15 megawatt of self-mining capacity, which remains on target for Q2 of 2023. We're in Q2 right now, I believe, with them. And let's see what else do we have here. I think that was it. Oh, here we go. Terawulf is in the final stages of bringing all mining capacity online at Lake Mariner, which will increase Lake Mariner's operational capacity to over 110 megawatts in the coming weeks. Combined, the company expects to have a total operational capacity of 15,000 miners, 5.5 exahash in Q2 of 2023, representing approximately 160 megawatts of power demand. So they're at, I believe, at 4 exahash right now. So that would be another 1.5 exahash increase for them. So that would be good there. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. We'll kind of do it backwards, I guess. We'll do Terawulf, then we'll do Riot, and then we'll do Core Scientific. Okay. So here's Terawulf. Terawulf has 212 million shares outstanding. Stock price is about $1.43 right now. Market cap of 303 million. They are currently at about 4 exahash right now, or 4 exahash right now. Future hash rate, they're saying 5.5. I got them at 5.3, so we're pretty close to that. As it is, they are still have about a 34% growth left in them. You can see here their stock performance for the last week. This was last week. They were down 0.67%. From 4 weeks ago, they were down 6.9%. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 3.5%. And from 12 weeks ago, they're actually up 144%. So if you bought 12 weeks ago, you're still doing really good on them. Looking at their BTC production here, it has continued to ramp up nicely here. We obviously had in May a lot of transaction fees included with Bitcoin for about 5 to 7 days. A lot of the miners are capitalizing on that. Some not so much. We'll talk about the ones that are not here. But this obviously helped them out tremendously. Noting that they stayed at the same exahash that they were at in April. No increase in exahash for May. Obviously, the transaction fees helped them out tremendously, along with the network hash rate coming down, or not coming down, being almost flat a little bit, up a little bit. Didn't go up too much. That's also helping out here as well. Okay, monthly difference as far as how much they mined. They added another 84 Bitcoins this month compared to last month, so that's good there. BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything. They sell pretty much everything. Their BTC per exahash efficiency has also gone up to 88.75, and that's with the help of the transaction fees for May. And then BTC sold, they sell everything that they mine. Hash rate, you can see that they're at 4 exahash right now. We'll get more exahash as the weeks go on here in Q2. BTC mined revenue here has also increased nicely here. They started out the year at about 3.1 million. They're up to 8.8 million right now. Obviously, a lot of this help here is the transaction fees. Hash rate difference, you can see here, nothing obviously added in May. BTC sold value, they sell everything that they mine, so it's the inverse of those. And then you can see here as far as the last 4 quarters revenue, self-mining, So the last 4 quarters are I believe they're all accurate numbers here. We'll take a look at it. I think we have all the numbers for them, and that would represent this. The current quarter that we're in is an estimate, so it's a nice almost double of what they had in Q1. And then you can see the operating costs here as well for the last 4 quarters. You guys can look at the other metrics here as well that we talked about in the past. Here is what we have as far as institutions. So institutions did increase for them to 106 from 95, so that's good. Shares also increased to 25 million from 14.3. That's also great to see. And percentage owned by institutions is 11.82%. We still only have one buy rating for them right now with a price target of $2 for the high, the average, and the low. And then when we look down here, as far as what they were operating at this month in May, I had to put all the miners in at 31 days, so basically for the full month, but they still came in at pretty low on as far as how much they would added in from rewards. Rewards came in with them mining for the full month at 139,000, whereas some of the other miners actually got a lot more for it, which leads me to believe that they have also curtailed a lot. Now with the rewards, that's skewing my numbers here because I can't tell how many days they were actually mining in reality compared to normally, because normally you could see here they are at like 23 days here in April. They were at 25 days in March. Prior to that, they were at 28 days. So they do curtail quite a bit here. January was a good month for them where they were 31 days. But for the most recent ones, you can see that there's quite a bit of curtailing going on here for them. And I would expect the same thing to be true here. So maybe they were down 5 days in curtailment for the month of May. I just can't tell. We do have only like 1.5% increase from the transaction fees, which would actually be very low. Some of the other miners are getting a lot more. We can look at those here. This is actually percentage, and we'll do that too. Yeah, so they actually got 1.56% for basically if they mine for the full month, the transaction fees. Where we look at some of the other miners here, let's look at those really quick that I did math on. We can see here that, let's take a look at Bitfarms here real quick because I have those as well as I think CleanSpark. Bitfarms was 4.9%, so a little bit better there, right? They got a lot more from the transaction fees, also mining for the full month. CleanSpark, however, got 12.5%. We know CleanSpark, for the most part, also mines pretty much like 99 point some percent of the time during each month. You can see that by the data that we have here, 29 days in April, 31 days in March. They were down a little bit here in February, 27 days. February was a short month, I think it was 28 days, but 31 days in January. So they're always pretty much uptime is really close to 100%. So this is kind of like the standard as far as what I'm looking for is what the miners would have gotten if they were mining for the full month. This is the 12.5% increase from the transaction fees. Okay, so that's kind of the golden standard. What is that called? The golden mark or whatever they call it. I can't remember now. But basically, this is the golden standard, I guess. One that I would compare the other miners to percentage-wise as far as what they got from the transaction fees. So when we look at Terawulf, Terawulf only got 1.56%, which, like I said, leads me to believe that they were curtailing quite a bit here. I don't know exactly how much, but they were curtailing, okay? Just wanted to point that out. And let's see here. I think that's it for that one. So that's explained. And looking at the numbers that we do have here for them right now, the last 3 quarters, 21.7 million. Current quarter revenue is about 22. So the last 3 quarters, they're actually going to be possibly making more this current quarter than they did in the last 3 quarters, which is great to see. Combined total is going to be about 44 million, 50% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at a PE of 20 for them. It's $2.09. They're $1.43 right now. I still think that they are undervalued. And obviously the analyst targets for them is $2 also, so I'm pretty close to that where we're kind of in agreement here. On the higher end, if Bitcoin starts going up a little bit more, getting into like 50, 75,000, 100,000 or something like that, then we would use the 75% net income, and then we're looking at it like $3.13. So I do think they are undervalued, and that is it. Obviously, they're going to have to install more miners, get those sites operating. It'll be good to see them get to 5.5 and then see where they're going to go after that. Obviously, we'd like to see them go even further, maybe closer to 8, 10 exahash by the time the halving happens next year. Okay, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. We'll talk about it there. And let's move on to the next one. So the next one's going to be on Riot here. So Riot announces May 2023 production update and operation updates. Riot actually performed, they did it a lot of curtailment. I'll just start it off with that, and I'll explain why. So Bitcoin produced for the month of May was 676. Average Bitcoin produced per day was 21.8. Bitcoin held in HODL is 7,190, and they sold 600 Bitcoin in May as well. So this is a quote from Jason Less. In addition, Riot also benefited from participating in ERCOT's demand response program, generating 2.4 million in revenue as a result of our unique power strategy. That would equate to what? If we take 2,400,000, divide that by was Bitcoin price was about 26,750 roughly. It gets about another extra 89 Bitcoins for that, but it still would be way under from anything else that we've seen here so far from the miners. Okay, mining deployment update. Right end of the month of May with approximately 800 miners staged for deployment. Upon deployment of the staged miners, the company expects to have a total of 94,976 miners deployed with a hash rate capacity of approximately 10.6 exahash, which excludes 17,040 miners currently offline in Building G. They still haven't gotten the doggone thing repaired there, that building, which is, we're going now into 6 months after that has happened. That, I don't know what's going on there. That's just taken way too long, in my opinion. That's a lot of money that's being idle there that's not operating as it should. Estimated hash rate growth due to the ongoing impact of damages incurred to buildings F and G during the severe winter storms in Texas in December 2022. Right now anticipates achieving a total self-mining hash rate capacity of 12.5 exahash in the second half of 2023. Okay, so that's obviously being pushed out. They were supposed to get there by the end of the first half, but because of that, I just don't know what are they waiting on, what parts do they need that's taking them so long to get, or if there's other issues there as well. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at the numbers we do have here for Riot as well. Riot currently has 175 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at $10.68. Market cap 1.86 billion right now. They are the most valued one that we cover here currently. Current hash rate 10.5. They're going to get about to 10.6 with the additional miners that they're going to install here shortly, possibly. They have about another 19% worth of installation growth left, percentage-wise. And then as far as their performance here for the last week, they were up 7.23% last week. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 10.4. However, from 8 weeks, they're down 13.1%. And from 12 weeks, they're up 44.6%. So if you bought back then, you're doing really good. Now, you can see here their BTC production here for the last basically 12, 13 months. Their best month was in January, where they had 740 Bitcoins. They went down to 675, then to 695, then back down to 639, now only 676. So they only increased that by 37 Bitcoins in May, where a lot of the miners are getting a lot more because of the network transaction fees. Okay, so they definitely curtailed a lot. You can see the monthly difference as far as Bitcoin, how much they generated from month to month. Bitcoin's BTC per exahash efficiency, still relatively low, 64.38. They're low because they do curtail quite a bit. So that's always going to drag them down a little bit. BTC HODL has been growing here nicely ever since last year. It just continues to grow up and up and up, which is good to see. Bitcoin sold, they have been selling kind of right around this 700, 600 mark here for the last couple months, it looks like, to fund operations, possibly a little bit of growth. And then you can see here that their hash rate has pretty much stayed at 10.5 exahash for the last 3 months or so. They've kind of flatlined here as well, a little bit here from December, and then flatlined here ever since March. Their revenue generation from Bitcoin, as you can see, has been increasing as well. They're up to 18.59 million now for May. They were at 18.44. So that's why I'm saying if they mined at least the same amount of time that they mined in April as they would have in May, they would have generated a heck of a lot more, at least 12% more on top of that from the transaction fees. Hash rate difference, you can see that as well. BTC sold, how much they've sold here. They sold 16.44 million roughly. Then you can look at the other metrics here as well. We've talked about those in the past. We usually cover those in the quarterly results. And then as far as institutions did grow quite nicely here for them to 333 institutions with 74 million shares. That's up from 64 million shares. So that's 10 million shares more were bought by institutions. And that's now 41.63% owned by institutions. They still have 3 strong buy ratings. Buy ratings actually went down to 6 from 7 here. They still have 1 hold rating of 1. And then the price target actually came down here to $16 from $17, and the average went actually up here to $11.78 from $11.44, and the low actually is still at $6 here for that one. Okay, now when we look at the actual data here that we have on the miners, which ones we're running, and getting to the 18.589 million, which is based on the average Bitcoin price for May, times the Bitcoins mined, we can see here that in May, if we go over here, they were actually running for 27.6 days. So even with the additional of the transaction fees being added to this, they were still under the 31 days in the month, which leads me to believe they did quite a bit of curtailment in the month of May. As you can see here, I did not have to add anything for additional transaction fees for them. They were still under the 31 days, which leads me to believe that they were probably only operating somewhere, I'm guessing, around 22, maybe 23 days for normal, because this includes the transaction fees added into it as well, and they still came in at 27 days. So they definitely have to do that curtailment. I don't know if they're legally binded to do that through ERCOT or not, but they definitely partake in it, and they did get 2.some million for it, for the troubles on that. I don't know if it would, what I'm trying to say is I don't know if it would calculate over to how much they could have mined more had they mined for the full 31 days and then gotten the actual Bitcoin from the transaction fees, okay? So that's it for that. Let's take a look at as far as where I have them at right now. Right now I have them at last 3 quarters is at 100 million. Current quarter that we're in is going to be about 55 million, it looks like, based on the numbers that we have here at 55. If they still stay around the 18.7 million here in June, that would get us to 55.78 million in revenue for self-mining. And total would be 156 million, 50% net income, PE of 20. We're looking at $8.95. They're currently at $10.68. And then at 75% net income, they're at $13.42. I think they're kind of fairly valued right now based on this. They're kind of in between these two numbers, maybe a little bit overvalued as well. But we're going by the PE of 75. If Bitcoin starts going back up higher, they could definitely catch a lot more for their stock price. We've seen that before in the past. I'm sure we'll see it again when Bitcoin actually starts to rally, possibly into next year and then after the halving event. Okay, so overall, still not pleased that they haven't finished the repairs at Building F or Building G, whatever it was, or H. It's been 6 months. Can't imagine what is taking so long to get those things repaired, or that facility repaired. The other thing is obviously the curtailment is quite a bit as well. It's the most that I've seen here out of the miners so far for May, which is surprising because a lot of the miners are also in Texas and they haven't curtailed as much. Marathon didn't curtail that much either. They were actually doing really good, but they are, looks like, curtailing quite a bit here in June so far right now. I'll have to take a look at the numbers that for their wallet to see where things stack up, but it looks like they are curtailing quite a bit. Other than that, they just got to grow, fix the facility, and then also like to see, I haven't heard anything as far as the immersion cooling, what that entails as far as efficiency gains or nothing like that. We haven't heard anything from them on that. So that would be nice to also hear on that one, what that is producing for them. Okay, so that's it for that. Let's take a look at the next one, but always let me know what you guys think of Riot here in the comments down below. We'll chat there. And let's go into the next one here. So finally, we got Core Scientific. Core Scientific is going to be an easy one. They don't provide a lot of data here. It's going to be pretty easy. So self-mining for them for the month of May. Core Scientific self-mining operations produced 1,314 Bitcoin in May. Total potential self-mining hash rate of 14.9. I think I'm at a 14 point. I think I did update them to 14.9, something like that. They were at 14.8, I believe, prior month. Okay, so that's kind of what we got for them. There isn't anything else that is any of interest as far as their bankruptcy is concerned, so we're not going to talk about it there. Let me see. The company powered down its data center operations on several occasions. Curtailments in May totaled 3,696 megawatt hours. Okay, so they did curtail a little bit here, and that might be the results that we're seeing here in their numbers. So if we look at Core Scientific, where are they? Right there. Core Scientific has 376 million shares outstanding, market cap of 131 million right now. Let's see here, 1 week performance, they're down 1.07%, 4 weeks they're up 2.5%, 8 weeks are down 20.4%, and then 12 weeks they're up 1.48%. So they've been kind of a lackluster performance here in the last 12 weeks. Bitcoin's produced, you can see here that they were at 1126 in April. Nice jump here in May. This is contributable to the transaction fees from Bitcoin. This helped them out tremendously here because their hash rate didn't grow that much to warrant this, and it's based on the transaction fees. You can see that they mined 188 Bitcoins more than in April. HODL, they don't HODL anything. They pretty much sell everything that they get right now. They did HODL, well, last year they HODLed, but then they started selling a crap ton of it. BTC per exahash efficiency actually came up here to 88.14, which is really good for them. BTC sold, you can see that as well. Hash rate revenue, let's see, hash rate, they got down to 14.8 in April, then they're back up down to 14.9. Their best was 17 exahash in January. I think they've been selling some of the miners here, or at least giving back to some of the creditors or something like that, and that's why their hash rate has been coming down. And you can see their revenue here has been kind of all over the place here ever since December. They were up to a high of 35.4 million in March, and then down to 32.4 in April. Now they're up to 36.13. So that definitely helped them out, but it's still not high as it was back in May of last year. Pretty close to it, but not beating it. Hash rate difference, you can see how much hash rate they've been adding and then subtracting here the last couple months. BTC sold value, you can see that they sold 143 million in June of last year, and then they've been constantly selling around 30, it's been actually increasing here. 24 here, 24, 30, 31, 35, 32, 36 million that they've been selling each month here. And then here's what we have as far as last 4 quarters revenue. Q1 was actually pretty good for them, 98 million. The current quarter that we're in right now is an estimated of 99 million, which is still really good. Definitely the biggest miner that we cover here. And then looking at as far as institutions are concerned here, institutions decreased a lot. So this was actually a surprise. We have seen them coming down a little bit here, but this was definitely a big decrease here. So they went to 31 institutions from 99. Shares went to 18.7 million from 46.2 million. And then percentage owned went down to about 5% from 12.3%. So big drop there. As far as analysts' price targets for them, they still have one hold rating for them with a price target of $1 for the high, 75 for the average, and 50 cents for the low. Okay. Going down to the actual miners where we have here, I added some miners here to get them back up to the 14.9. Those were all still running at 31 days, it looks like. And based on that, they had about 9.81% increase from the transaction fees. Okay, and you can see that here. And that's still kind of low compared to where, it's pretty close to where CleanSpark. CleanSpark was at 12 something. So this leads me to believe that they did curtail, which they reported they curtailed a little bit. So they would have been down to maybe 30 days or something like that. That might have gotten them closer to the 12% or right around there. Okay, or at least maybe like 30 and a half days or something like that. Okay, so that's the numbers that we do have for them. So we are at 36.134 million here, and that's equals the number here, which is Bitcoin average price for the month of May, multiplied times the BTC that they generated. And that gets us pretty close to it as well. So currently, they are looking to make about 99.6 million this current quarter that we're in, which is estimated. Last 3 quarters are reported and accurate, so that's 252.9 million in revenue. So combined, we're looking at 352.5 million in revenue for the last, current quarter, last 3 quarters. Looking at 50% net income if we use the PE of 10. The only reason I'm using a PE of 10 on them is because they are in bankruptcy. And this is where they would probably get to is $4.68 to $7.02. They're at 35 cents, but because of bankruptcy, that has definitely whittled the stock down. So maybe if we use like a 5, well, even 5 is $2.34. And unless we're saying $1 for $1, it would be roughly a PE of 2 for them right now. So this is definitely a high speculative stock. Depending on whether or not they can get out of this bankruptcy or not will definitely depend on where the stock price goes in the future. Okay, so don't bet more than you're willing to lose on this one because you might get wiped out in bankruptcy proceedings and everything else. Other than that, there's not much to say for them. I wish them all the best as far as getting out of bankruptcy and for the shareholders as well. Other than that, they grew tremendously in the last year. Kind of grew, I think, maybe a little too fast, too high, too quickly to get to where they are. Now they're in trouble with bankruptcy, obviously. And maybe once they get out of this, we'll see if they have any growth left beyond where they at right now. Future hash rate is supposed to be 17.1. I mean, we pretty much reached that back here, 17 in January, and it's been coming down. So I don't expect them to get above where they are right now. Maybe a little bit here, but not much, depending if they do anything. I don't think they'll be buying any miners. I think they're just trying to pay off the debt that they do have currently. So that's a tough one for them. The only thing that they are doing is maybe installing some more hosting clients. Okay. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this one. Obviously, the spreadsheets are going to be available to my Patreon members later on tonight. I'll get those updated for them. So thank you to everyone there. Also, thank you to all the YouTube members. I'll give you guys the print screens of these either tonight or tomorrow sometime. I'll get those posted on the channel. And then other than that, I think that's it that we have to talk about. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Bitcoin going forward. See if it's going to go down even more. I do think it's going to go down. Let me know if you agree with me or not on that, if it's going to go down, but I think it is. I don't think we're done going down more, but we'll see where we end up at. Might be a good opportunity to buy a little bit more, nibble into the market, dollar cost average if you're still a little high on some of your stocks. Might be a good thing to do, but always not financial advice. Do your own research. And let's see, I think we may have some more miners reporting tomorrow as well. I think DMG also reported. I got to look at that one. So we'll talk about that one tomorrow, and some whatever else happens tomorrow as well. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.